dad, or some type of father figure, just to help alleviate his soul. But it didn't feel like it helped at all.
That's on me.
Another like thing about this, the story. Man, I keep calling it a story. I don't know why I keep calling it a story. So the other thing about this album is like there's like a always seems to be a mention of people not liking his album or like people having issues with the things that he says. People having issues with like or him having issues with his own like deviations in opinion. Like do you? I guess my question to you is, do you ever worry about people having an imperfect opinion about something or being wrong or being canceled?
Or do I ever worry about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, like it happening to me?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like even like outside of like the canon of being canceled, like I I want to. I have this. Oh man, just getting into my issues. Like at least for approaching my nights, like or still something I still struggle with was like really trying to please people, right? Because like I felt like it was something that I had to do, like I had to do that thing. So I feel like if you just taking it back from just being like I don't want to get canceled, I don't want to be thing. I think you could take it a step backwards and just be like, I just kind of want to be accepted. And I feel like that is like a very realistic feel just for a regular person. You can be micro canceled anywhere, right? Like I feel like at least to me it feels like searching for that acceptance is something is like a real fear for a lot of people. I think Kendrick Lamar is saying like, hey, all that. It doesn't matter. It's important for you to be genuine for the most part. And I think I tried to be that. If I said I'm not afraid of that stuff, I think I'll be lying because I feel like generally everyone's like kind of afraid of that.
What did you think about Crown? For the first few listens, that was the song that I kept going back to.
Yeah, I think that's true too. So what I said earlier is like definitely a younger me felt like that is like hey thing, and I think like I still struggle with that sometimes, but I think this like leans into what I'm not saying this leads into like I'm trying to take up what Kendrick Lamar was saying or whatever, but like I think like this leans into more of like my thing where it's like hey you can't be everyone and you can't be everything for everyone at once without losing. You gotta choose me.
You got to choose you. Yeah, maybe that's the thing that he's dealing with is we gave him and he took up the mantle of like being everything for everybody. Like we kind of did expect, or we kind of do expect like him to be the I don't know like the like we waited 5 years to hear what he had to say. It was like yeah we waited 5 years. We waited 1,885 days while he was going through something just to hear what he had to say. And, I can imagine that would be pretty heavy. I guess that kind of goes back to the song The Crown, like heavy is the head that chose to wear the crown. And to be fair, he was the one that said he was the king of the East and West Coast. On one hand, he juggles them both. So he like I think there's a part of like him where in that song where he's saying like, oh yeah, I chose to wear this crown and I chose to like have people wait on me. And I don't really want to go too far in ahead because that like goes into like I think the last two songs where I think he's like talking like there's a big line on there that I want to talk about later where he's I think it's in the mirror where he says you won't grow waiting on me.
Do you think the fan base and the media has put too much on Kendrick?
I mean, I think he's also said it himself that he puts too much on himself. Like a big part of the Father Time is he doesn't accept losses and he has a very high expectations for himself. He's willing to stay outside every day to practice his like his basketball skills. Unfortunately for him, like his genetics weren't there on that level.
Coast to Coast is debating who's blacker, and then it goes into like a line where it's like I'll find it and put it in somewhere here, where it's like you blacked out screens, but you still found time to like tell on me.
Oh, I know the line. Sick debating about who's blacker, even blacked out screens and called it solidarity. Dang. And then the thing is like something you made you want to tell on me.
And like I think that's like a classic thing where it's like all this stuff was happening and like all this stuff was crazy shit. And people were like kind of looking for Kendrick to like say something, and then I feel like some people turned angry to being like, why isn't Kendrick saying anything? And I think this like could lean into like some of no name comments at that time, right? Who uh got in a slight back and forth with J. Cole with the music cues in that time.
Did you find the verse in the song that's addressed to No Name?
There is one.
I was about to bring this up because this is a I don't know this for a fact, but it sounds like it. It's in Mirror.
Oh damn! I need to hear this. But
In verse 3, uh yeah, she told me that she needed me the most. I didn't believe her. She even called me names on the post, the world can see it. Jokes and gaslighting, mad at me because she didn't get my vote. She say I'm trifling, disregarding the way that I cope with my own vices. Maybe it's time to break it off, run away from the culture to follow my heart. I guess there's some people that think that this is a line towards No Name, who, had said a bunch of stuff on a post, had like kind of like said that like that she needed him, and J. Cole and all those people to like be the voice for them, and No Name was mad that like you spent all this time and your songs talking about these issues, but like when the issues are actually here, according to No Name, when the world needs you most, you vanished.
yeah, and yeah, and then yeah, so yeah, and that's a good sum of that quote. And I know J. Cole responded fairly quickly to the thing, and then that kind of blew up into his face. But like I think even J. Cole's response was very like, I don't think it was like bad. Like I think it was like a very interesting response where he's like, hey, I don't. I think the last line of that is like, hey Cole, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you, man. And he's like, I don't. When he said that, I felt like figured it's Snow on the Bluff, which is like if you don't know what Snow on the Bluff is, it's the movie's fake, but like I think at the time people thought it was real because it was like it seemed so real, but it was like actually just a regular movie. It was like one of the first like found footage kind of movies, and people thought it was real because it like showed this like really real and rough perspective. But it's not a real story. But like I think people even try to like open up cases for it, and it was just a movie. It was all fictional.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like yeah, I feel like that line that J. Cole said was like very like emotionally vulnerable about like how he feels about this stuff and maybe the pressures he's dealing with. But that people did not like that. And then they were like, "Hey, why are you bullying? Not bullying. Why are you like going at No Name?" And like I like No Name. I think even like the point she made her points pretty interesting. But like I digged. I don't want to say I dig J. Cole's response. I think J. Cole's response was very interesting, and I think this response is very interesting too. Where it's like there's these expectations that people put on to these artists and put them on these pedestals, and it's really hard to like reconcile with the fact that they're just as human as the other person, right? And like instead of J. Cole or Kendrick being these voices, it's probably way more important that you are the voice, right? Like you should probably use your voice if you feel so strong in it and stop waiting on these saviors because we know Cole made you empowered, but he's not your savior.
Oh, do you know what I found out about about that those lines?
What?
So the LeBron line is actually an add-on. Originally, it was supposed to be Kanye.
Ooh,
Yeah, the
okay.
line was supposed to be something along the lines of like Kanye made you like okay to use a loud voice, but he's not your savior.
Hmm.
He left him out because I don't know, didn't want to hurt Kanye's ego.
Anymore. I don't know. I thought of those lines a lot, but like I think those lines are very interesting. Like I feel like those lines are pretty deep.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point. I still personally, my personal opinion is I still feel a little disappointed that they didn't say anything. I know they still like participated in protest. I still kind of wish that they did. I mean, I know they have. I know Kendrick, J. Cole made like that song, "Be Free," which is like to me is a really good song. I don't know. I find myself still personally being disappointed, and I don't think that like anything's gonna be able to really change that disappointment. But I'm not really gonna debate it too much. I did have like a question on like, what is the value of like I'm not even saying this in an accusatory way. This is like legitimately, what is there a benefit in grieving through silence? Or like, there's a few points in the story where he's talking about like, I've been meditating in the valley of silence. There's a song called Silent Hill. He makes a few mentions of like, when he's going through things, he needs a certain amount of silence. and I'm not sure if this is connected with any of the protest stuff. I'm not sure if I'm like if I'm gonna try to connect this. That was another theme that I've been thinking about a little bit. Like, but does meditating silently, what do you think that does for a person?
I think it gives them a little bit of time to not get caught up in the swell, right? Because you could feel a certain amount of way, and you could feel like a lot like how a lot of people other feel, but like only time when you're in silence and like you're thinking about it by yourself, you can only like really exactly lean onto like what you're thinking about. You're not in another presence where like it's very common for people to just be like, yeah, sure, whatever, like I agree, even if you truly do agree, right? It's like you don't have time to think about it. It's like the classic thing where I do this a lot where like, and I know people hate when I do it, where like I will start talking about something and I will pause and I'll be like, let me think about this for a second. And like you and multiple other people would be like, hello, are you still there? Right? Like, that pause isn't me trying to be like, oh, I'm getting into my mind palace and silently figuring out stuff, but like thinking takes a lot of time, and sometimes getting like caught up in the swirl doesn't really articulate your thoughts on like. So I think I get why he's like that, like where it's like, at least for me, I think it's like, hey, I need to do this time to think so I can actually think about the situation and like not get caught up into my like, I don't want to say my emotions because like I think your emotion plays into it, but like just generally like the whole crowd of thought, if that makes sense.
He said he's protecting his soul.
Hey man, my name's Nobody Knows for a reason. Dog.
No, I was saying like, no, I wasn't saying it in an accusatory way. I was saying like he's protecting his soul in the Valley of Silence is the line. Like, does that mean that he's like, I think here's the personal debate that I'm one, and I don't know if I'm taking this out of context, but like, and I'm not even, this isn't even like really even a criticism because I do this all the time. I'm 100%. If I had a criticism of this, it's more so a criticism of myself. But yeah, I'll say this from a personal mind. The problem that I have personally with like the to some extent of like doing things in silence is protecting your own soul. You're like, okay, everything that's going on is too much right now. I just have to withdraw. And if I just go home and I close the door and I get in my bed, I don't have to worry about the problems that are going on outside, and I don't have to address the problem. And I'm not even saying like that's a bad thing. I think like silence is important because silence allows you like contemplate things. Like, especially if you're an artist, I imagine like silence is super important. I don't know if you've ever seen that video with like the Karen got lady that with the trumpet in New York, where she's yelling at the trombonist who's like outside the city, or he's like outside of a building. It's like, silence is the foundation that serves the artist. But she's like yelling at this guy and like just saying like you should quit and never do what you're doing again, and because you suck.
Yeah, wasn't that a dude that said that? Where he's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, you need to shut up because and he was like saying, I know these people that practice in like real places and stuff like that.
I used to work with Bob Dylan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think this guy was like, yeah, and it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, oh, man, that was so weird to watch. I feel like that was way more, bro. What's your personal dig on this? Like, I don't know, like, what am I trying to say?
There he goes into
Was
the Valley of Silence.
It's not a valley. I just have a hard time thinking. Okay,
You're right. It's a little divot. It's a mole.
it's
It's a
old
ditch.
to hide myself. If the dude was really good, would he be upset? Like if he was playing like on an amazing level, would he be upset? But was it like him sucking at something and trying to get better at it was the thing that upset the dude? When I think about that,
I don't know. Maybe this man had a pain body about his own inability to make it as a musician, because trained professionally. He was trained contemporarily.
oh shit.
Well, yeah, like I mean, I still think that's a point. Like, silence is important for like being creative. So I can see that why that would be a strategy for Kendrick. And maybe, yeah, I think he's not. I don't think he's wrong. I think that he makes a good point. Like, yeah, these people are just people. They're not your savers. And if you keep waiting on them, if you wait 1,885 days, you're not gonna grow if you're just gonna just gonna wait for them and
Like
not try to find your
like
own
that
answers.
verse reminds me so much of like the Aesop verse about cogs and pedestals.
Dude, I was thinking about that same verse. I was
Like
during this
once
album
you
as
put
well.
out that line, I was like, yeah, this. I remember listening to this line. I'm like, man, that feels like very similar to like at least it gave me off the same feelings where it's like, man, what is that verse called? It's like,
That's why it's odd to see a pile of imperfections and flaws and sit in a pedestal to patronize the rest of the
I feel
gods.
like yeah, that has like a very similar tone where it's like, bro, like you can't expect me to think like to be your savior at these like that. And you shouldn't. You probably should like work for yourself. It's like it gives me the same vibe of like Dave Chappelle when he said like when he brought out like a whole bunch of terrible shit and he brought out like Ja Rule and then Ja Rule said some stuff. He's like, what the I don't give a fuck what Ja Rule thinks, right? Like in this moment, right? I don't care, right? Like like that's not what I who I wanted to like listen to. And maybe like the real thing is like there's no one to really do that. Like you kind of have to be that person in that moment.
Yeah. And like this wasn't expressly said, but I think what I think might be the conclusion of the album, other than like, I'm not your savior, is that like maybe you can find salvation just being wrong and growing
Mhm.
from being wrong. Some of the, like the verses I have like to back that claim up is like this isn't like the part of this is just like, oh, this is also in Savior, where he says like seeing a Christian say the vaccine's the mark of the beast, then he caught COVID and prayed to Pfizer for relief. Like, he's seen people that like maybe had a strong stance and then later like changed their stance about it. Um, there's also like a verse in Mirror that says like it's not about who's right or who's wrong. Evolve is the only thing that's known.
I like the follow on to that verse where it's like the COVID verse where it's like and then I caught COVID and then I started questioning Kyrie because if do you know Kyrie Irving?
Is that the guy with the beard?
No, that's James Harden. Kyrie Irving's another fantastic, incredible basketball player, but has really strong things stances about the COVID vaccine. And I think that was a very interesting. Like the reason why I brought it up is because like the same way that Kendrick might have like look at other like how same way how we look at Kendrick as like this person to like think about like how you should think about issues. Kendrick was probably looking at Kyrie as a person to how to think about issues, and then like the same thing happened where like his mindset changed because he was I'm trying to say
Yeah,
like the same way like he looked at as Kyrie as a savior or like as a whatever you want to say. Once he was in the situation, his mindset has changed too,
yeah,
and it's not a dig at Kyrie. Like obviously one of the best basketball players alive, and probably gonna be put it down as like one of the best basketball players to live or play the game. But like I this is the reason why I think like Kendrick would see him as like a savior figure because like Kyrie Irving is definitely like his own thinker for sure. Like he thinks in a very specific way, and he doesn't give a about what other people think.
when you're in that situation, you have to like find your own answers.
Yeah, yeah. I find this album super interesting. One thing I just want to quick mention before we go any further and stuff like that. We talked about this where we like had this conversation where we see at least I don't want to say we, but I'll just say my opinion and then you can add or change whatever you want to change. Where I find like a really strong through line between Good Kid, Mad City, Pimp the Butterfly, and this album. And at least in my opinion, I feel like Good Kid, Mad City was like, hey, like Kendrick talking about his personal perspective and interaction with his city and his personal life. So his personal issues, like trying to like just explain and tell people about like Compton and like what happens and how it affected him and like how that has changed and morphed his values. Like my favorite verse is that on that album is like would you get in the seat after you've seen all his skeletons in his closet and stuff like that. Um, and not this innocent Kendrick with some now and laters to eat or whatever. So like I feel like Good Kid is that like starting point of like him like saying like here's like the issues I have personally and with like my immediate environment. Pimp the Butterfly is another one just explaining and showing those issues, but on a more larger scale of like systematic racism, how it's affected his community, how it affects everyone's community. Like how I don't know the right word, so I'm just gonna say institutionalized kind of thinking has shaped people and like maybe has shaped like the way they think. It's like him pushing out these issues just to show everyone to be like, hey, here's these issues and here's like a more like governmental and environmental like reason how like these issues affect me as an artist, as a black man, as someone that lives in a place without a lot of opportunities or whatever. So, Good Kid, Mad City is the personal outlook and the personal environment. Um, um, Pimp the Butterfly is talking about the issues in the environmental and like the establishment, the government, like stuff that like are more like bigger issues than just himself and his city, but like affects it. And then I feel like Mr. Morale is like the combination of like, hey, here's how I'm coping with all these issues, and then it's not right or wrong, but this is how I've been coping with these issues, and here's what I think is what I'm gonna use to fix it for now.
And also the scope of it, it's like him and his family.
Yeah,
Him,
yeah,
his family, and his therapist.
yeah. Um, so
It's,
yeah, I feel like there's a like I feel like this is a very interesting like through line for these things, and I think what you said about Duckworth, you can throw that into and maybe even some of the stuff from Damn. Because like Damn, I don't know, Damn talks about some really interesting stuff too. Like one of my favorite songs of Damn is like it's pretty much a skit, and it's just pretty much like the song is just pretty much um this dude calls up Kendrick Lamar and says like, hey, someone killed my cousin, my brother, and like I know you. He even says like, hey, I know you're more anointed. I know you're the savior figure. Tell me what should I do, and like for the next like 2 minutes, like next minute and a half or whatever is Kendrick saying like, hey, I will be like the most terrible person ever, right? Like I will make sure this person dies. I will be all the things that like people don't want me to be. I will kill them in front of his church. I'll kill him in front of his kid. It doesn't matter to me. I would get my revenge. And then the ending of the song is like, hey, I gotta go talk in this meeting real quick. I'll call you back. And then he hangs up and he's like, "Hey kids, let's talk about gun control." And then it's like the things like, "Dang." I think that the song's XXX.
I think you're. I don't know. I think you're right.
Yeah, but like so at least that's like how I see this through point or like this progressions with the algorithms where it's like, hey, presenting issues, presenting personal issues, presenting bigger social issues, and then way how he copes with it and deals with it, and it makes a lot of sense that the way he copes with it and deals with it is very family focused. So it's him.
Yeah, and like to pick up from that, like he's also talking more about being a hypocrite.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been talking about being a hypocrite since 2015,
yeah,
really. But I think you're right. Like that verse is a really interesting like through line of him addressing like him being imperfect. He's always said like I'm not the from the outside looking in, I'm from the inside out, I'm from the dead center. I'm not like some sort of like God or like anointed being. I'm just a regular person. Um, and yeah, he's just in general just talking about like I'm an imperfection, and it's okay to be imperfect. But what do you think about the worldwide stepper song? That's that's a song where it goes like I'm a killer, he's a killer, she's a killer.
that was like when I'm so you were gonna do it at the end in like some of our quotes, but I yeah, that's one of my quotes. Is from there. Let me pull it up. One of my favorite lines from the albums is this one where it's like, so what's the difference between your life when hiding up motivations, more fatalities and realities brings you closure. The noble person that goes to work and prays like they supposed to slaughters people too. Your murders are just a bit slower.
I guess he's using murder as not a metaphor, but as a catch-all to like. I mean, he might literally mean that you're part of like the system that murders people and like slaughters people too, but like also in the sense of like, hey, you're not imperfect. The person that like goes home and like just does his job and goes home and prays like also contributes to like like something that they maybe aren't necessarily a fan of
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah, and that's totally true. And I feel like people will be like, why are these kids in sweatshops, and how can this shit still happening? And then they'll go to Walmart and buy a shirt for $5. Yeah, it's like hey, like like I'm not saying you have to be this person that like gets on these mantles or these pedestals, but like to pretend that you are not a part of the system that causes this cycle is a lie. Like, and I think like that captures like, hey, you know, normal people still have a net effect of hurting people too,
Yeah.
even if they don't see it.
And we're all trying to like we're all doing this to satisfy something, to like scratch some itch that we're trying to get. Like whether it's like, you know, I want to fit in, I want to wear the right stuff, I want to like um have AC.
Yeah,
I want to live in a decent house in a safe community. You might like some of the stuff that you do. Like if you really thought about it, might not be pure. Like if we were handing out morality points like this was infamous, it's not going to be this isn't going to be all blue. Some of this is going to be red.
yeah, yeah, right. Like it's like, I think yeah, I think the reason why I like that the big steppers is like it's kind of like, hey, it's like a lot of us are just generally in the morally great stuff, like because we live in countries, we eat imported foods, we buy things, right? Like just because of you living in the system makes you morally gray, which doesn't make you an evil person. It's just like the more like realities of life, right? Like you're maybe this is another Kendrick line. Man, we're just going through Kendrick lines um like it's just like the shit don't your shit doesn't stink, right? Like you know, everyone's at fault on this person degree. No one's perfect. I think that goes well with the mentioning of the album too, where it's like, hey, you should kind of should embrace this imperfectness and like work to be a better person you with this imperfectness. Kendrick Lamar just kind of points out like to everyone like, hey, you guys are all not as perfect as you think you are. If you thought that way.
Yeah, we're all just co-defendants judging his life.